Good evening, students.
Good evening, ma'am. மாணவர்கள்.
Okay, students, we'll start, right? Letting the others join. So today, under the comparative education, so we are going to learn a very specific side, right? Issues of language in education. Our Sri Lanka also a multicultural country. We have different languages, but not more than 3, right? The major languages are 3, but some other countries have many languages, right? So what are the issues of languages in education? So after studying this session, you will be able to identify different types of minorities, right? So we are going to learn about minorities, and their language is different from the major people. So trace the change of attitude that has taken place in the world in general regarding to the linguistic rights of minorities. And explain the importance for a nation to develop its language policy. Describe the evolution of different language policies in selected countries. Evaluate merits and demerits of different policies related to the education of linguistic minority children in selected countries. And you'll be able to evaluate the national language policy adopted by Sri Lanka regarding its adequacy meet the needs of individual minority groups and the nation as a whole, right? So if the time permits, I will discuss related to some more points, right, with this education in Sri Lanka. Okay, so these issues of language, right, in education is in your module, right? But I have prepared in a different way. But anyway, this knowledge, of course, we have to have, right? So types of minorities. So minorities in any country can refer to groups that differ from majority population in terms of ethnicity, religion, culture, language, or other social characteristics, right? So even we, in our country, we used to say these minorities, right? Based on ethnicity, religion, culture, language, and other social characteristics. So minorities means the less population than the majority people. Before we learn Sri Lanka's minority and the language issues, we have to learn, right? First, Canada, indigenous people, ethnic minorities. So Chinese, Indian, Filipino, Syrian. Religious minorities, Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, right? Canada is respecting minorities, right? So without getting permission from these indigenous people of Canada, they're not doing anything, right? So Upper Canada Village, that side is purely for them, right? So without their permission, they can't do anything. They can't buy, they can't do any development or anything, right? So they are respecting. Separate side is for them, right? So in Canada, ethnic minorities, Chinese, Indian, Filipino, Syrian, in the religious based, Muslim, Hindus, and Sikhs, right? So Australia, right? So Australia also having these indigenous people, immigrant communities, Asia, European, and religious minorities, Muslims, Buddhist, Hindus. Right, so in Australia, most of our Sri Lankan people also migrated, uh, and they are living, right? So their population is less, so they are also minority. Right. So then France, North African and Sub-Saharan African communities, uh, Romani people, and Kingdom, South Asian, African, Caribbean communities, Muslim, Gypsies, and travelers. France, right? So United States, African Americans, Latinos, Asian Americans, Native Americans, religious minorities, immigrants, right? So here, Canada, Australia, France, United States, all Commonwealth countries and also developed countries, right? So every country is having minorities and also indigenous people, right? So each country has different history and social structure. But many minority groups face similar challenges around issues of discrimination, representation, and integration. So each country may be having different history or social culture, but the people who are there, minority people, they are facing similar challenges. Right. So so we are talking about language, and first we must know what is language policy. Even in Sri Lanka, we have language policy. So language policy refers to the set of laws, regulations, practices, and principles that govern the use, teaching, and promotion of languages within a specific country. Right. So when we are traveling to another country, right, we can realize, right, especially German, they are using their mother tongue as German, right? So if you are going to stay there, you have to learn German, right? Sometimes you have to learn in the German language, and Russia also the same, right? So their policy is something different, right? So it involves decisions made by governments, institutions, or organizations about which languages are to be used in various domains such as education, government, media, and public life. So most of the Sri Lankan used to migrate to country where they can learn English, right? So because here the Sri Lankan people are familiar with English, so they feel comfortable when they are going for an English country, right? So if they are migrating for other countries, they have to learn the language. So language policy can be broadly categorized into following areas. Even in Sri Lanka, official language, you'd have heard there is an official language department also, official language. That means what we are using as official language, right? Tamil, Sinhala and Tamil are the official language in Sri Lanka. So likewise, there are different languages, maybe official languages in different countries. So this determines which languages are recognized as official for purpose like legislation, administration, and public service. For example, in India, Hindi and English are official languages, while various regional languages are recognized at the state level. But Sri Lanka, India is also a very huge country, and the population also very high. So to keep this balance, right? So they have this. Their official, they made the official language as Hindi and English, but they have given priority for regional languages as well. So language education policy. So this refers to decisions about which languages are taught in school, right? So we have a Sinhala school, English medium school, Tamil medium school, and tri-media schools, and sometimes Sinhala and English, Tamil and English, like so they are the language, the decision about which languages are taught in school is also coming under language education policy, and how they are taught and to what extent multilingualism is encouraged. So you'd have heard, I think 10, 15 years back, right, when they are starting the English medium, uh, uh, so they talked about this bilingualism, right? So when they are transforming from one language to another, they use both languages, mother tongue and English, right? So bilingual education. For example, some countries prioritize bilingual education while others focus on national or official language. So that is also depend on the country's policy framework. And language planning. Language planning involves deliberate efforts to influence the structure or function of a language or group of languages. So this might include efforts to standardize a language, to promote the use of a national language, or to revitalize endangered language. So some languages are erasing, right? So limited users are there. So day by day, it's erasing, right? So endangered languages. Uh, so um, and the other thing is language rights. Each and everyone have uh, their mother tongue, right? They have the rights to talk in mother tongue. They can use mother tongue. But uh, if our students, Sri Lankan students who are living in Canada, right? But their medium of instruction is English, but their mother tongue is Tamil, right? So they are using mother tongue at home, but for the education they are using English. So language policy may also address the rights of speakers of minority or indigenous languages, ensuring that they can use their language in public life, education, and other areas. Right? For instance, some countries have professions that allow minority language speakers to use their language in courts or government proceedings. So they are giving rights, right, for their languages. Um, uh, in some countries, they are giving minority languages, language speakers uh, to use their language in courts and government also proceedings, right? Even now you can see when the in the Facebook, right? So you can see the translation. So English, Sinhala, Tamil. Three translations are going on when the notification of government is going on, right? So that means they are giving priority and they are giving these similar rights for all languages. And multilingualism and translation. Some countries have policies that promote multilingualism and translation services, allowing citizens to engage with government service, media, and education in multiple languages. Even in Sri Lanka, we have language courses in A-levels. They can learn different languages. So that languages part, right? So there are a lot of opportunities for children, even with this very limited results, right? They can enter the university because most of the for that stream, right? Few children are um, willing to join. So those children have opportunities to enter the university. And the language learning is a very essential thing, and also it's a very fortunate thing, right? If you are visiting to another country, you'll be able to communicate with them and you can learn the degree then. So you will find very comfortable there. Uh, and the other thing, right? So examples, in Switzerland, there are 4 official languages, right? So official language in Sri Lanka, Sinhala and Tamil, right? Here in Switzerland, there are 4 official languages: German, French, Italian, and Romance. So the country's language policy promotes multilingualism and ensures equal representation of these languages in public life, right? So in Switzerland, there are 4 official languages. So they are actually respecting the multicultural society, right? They are giving preference for all languages. In Canada, English and French are both official languages, right? English and French. With the policy aimed at promoting bilingualism, especially in federal government services, right? So, Switzerland, there are 4, Canada, 2, South Africa, there are 11 official languages, right? Reflecting the country's multicultural population and emphasizing the equal treatment of various linguistic groups, right? Uh, so South Africa have 11 official languages, right? So Switzerland 4, Canada 2, South Africa 11. Language policies can have profound social, cultural, and political implications. So influencing national identity, social cohesion, and the rights of linguistic minorities. Right, so minorities, how we are calling minorities, because those people are, that their language is speaking by few, that means less number of people, right? So, So now you'd have known, right? So there are countries having more than one official languages. So here in Sri Lanka, official language, Sinhala and Tamil, right? With both languages have equal status in government and public services, right? So historical context, the Sinhala only Act of 1956, right? The Sinhala only Act of 1956 made Sinhala the sole official language, right? Which led to ethnic tensions. So there are multi-ethnic people. It is a multicultural country, but the act says only Sinhala in 1956. So they had some issues, right? Then in 1987, so one amendment is attached to this act, right? Granted Tamil equal status as an official language to ensure linguistic rights for Tamil speaking communities. And language in practice, Sinhala dominates in government and public life in Sinhala majority regions, while Tamil is more commonly used in Tamil majority regions. English serves as a link language in business, education, and legal context. So now I think this percentage, right, will be little, it's going to be changed because now the international schools are there, right? So they, uh, earlier they had Sinhala and Tamil schools, right? Few schools had English language medium, right? But now you can see a lot of children are learning under international schools. So that means uh, they are learning their subject in English. So the language practice is going to be changed now, right? So post-war reconciliation, right, after the Civil War, the language policy has been a key element in the reconciliation process with efforts to ensure equal access to services and opportunities for both Sinhala and Tamil speakers, right? So reconciliation process, right? So when they are going to learn the language of both group, right? So Sinhala people have to learn in, Tamil, and Tamil people have to learn Sinhala so they can understand each other. So the challenges, there are remain challenges related to the practical implementation of the language policy, especially in areas outside the Tamil majority regions and in the context of national unity and post-conflict recovery. Right, so the thing is, right, in northern area, only Tamil people are more, the majority Tamil people are living, so they are speaking Tamil only, right? So there's no Sinhala people to speak in Sinhala. But recently, right, so the after that 30 decades of war, right, after that, the military people were there, right? So the people mingle with them and they communicate with them, and they now they can they'll be able to speak Sinhala and understand Sinhala. So they are good in Sinhala also. So now I think they can understand the Sinhala community well than before, right? So the traders also there, so say Sinhala shops also there. So now uh, even the challenges is communication, right? Even though they know to write uh, and academically they are good, but anyway the communication side they are weak because there's no one to speak. But now I think even in east and um, northern part, people also, we can't say 100% people knows to speak, but for some extent they can understand, right? And summary of national language policies, right? So Canada, there are two languages, official language, English, French, bilingualism at the national level with special protection for indigenous languages. So Australia, no official language. But English is the de facto language, efforts to preserve indigenous language. Right? So Australia, there's no official language. Right? They are using only English. And English is the de facto language. And France, French is the sole official language. Minority regional languages have no official status, though preservation efforts exist. UK, no official language, but English dominates. Welsh and Scottish and Gaelic have official status in Wales and Scotland, respectively. Right, so UK, they also don't have official language like Australia, but English dominates. Even Australia is also the same. And United States, no official language, but English is the dominant language. Spanish has a significant presence, especially in certain states. Indian, English are official languages. Right? Have their official languages, but there is significant linguistic diversity and protection for regional languages. So each country's language policy reflects its unique historical, cultural, and social context, balancing the interest of linguistic majorities and minorities, and responding to the challenges posed by migration, regionalism, and globalization. Right? Right. So, so under comparative education, so we are learning Canada, Australia, France, UK, United States, India, right? And we learned Japan in the last class, Finland a little, right? If you are interested to know about more countries' official languages, what they are speaking, right? Especially it's Singapore, Malaysia. Uh, so I think Singapore passport is the most valuable passport, number one. They can go for 170 countries without visa, right? So what is the, even this Malaysia, Singapore is having a connection with Sri Lanka, Maldives, right? That type of country familiar with us, right? So if you wanted, if you can find out what are the official languages in that country, right, it will be appreciated. You can present in next class, right? So official languages and how many languages are there. So how they are protect their indigenous language, right? And how they are giving respect to the other culture and things, right? So if that type of things are there, right, there will be peace in country, right? No these conflicts, right? So almost, right? So when you all are going to learn about countries and the languages and official languages, right? You will come to know, right? Each and every country is having more than two, three languages, ethnics, right? And the religion. So Sri Lanka's language policy reflects its complex ethnic makeup and historical struggles, particularly between the Sinhalese and Tamil communities. the country's official bilingual status for Sinhala and Tamil along with the significant role of English. Attempts to balance linguistic rights and promote national unity. So, in the primary classes, right now, they are using 3 languages, right? So they can speak oral, right? Sinhala, Tamil, and English. So in a way that is good. They will be familiar with the languages available in Sri Lanka. So, however, challenges related to the equitable use of these languages, especially outside Tamil majority areas, continue to shape the ongoing discussions around languages and identity in Sri Lanka. So there's no need, right? Because only Tamil people means they can converse in Tamil. No? If only Sinhala people are there, they can converse in Sinhala, right? If there are mixed community, definitely though both community will know each other, the languages, right? So in that way, right? So we are from Kandy, right? Especially myself. So always we are mingled with Sinhala people. We lived in Sinhala Gammana. So we used to communicate with them in Sinhala. So we can speak Sinhala very well. Right? So we don't have any kind of differentiation or anything, right, from the beginning itself. So we are friends, right? Still, I have good friends in my village, right? Uh, so, so language is also one vehicle, right? We are traveling, right, in a country. In Sri Lanka, several minority groups make up a smaller proportion of the population compared to the majority Sinhalese ethnic group, some of the key minority groups in Sri Lanka, right? So as we are from Sri Lanka, right, we have to know what is happening in Sri Lanka and what type of people are living here, right? So here you can see the Tamil population is the largest ethnic minority in Sri Lanka, right? Here they are talking about minority people. So the Tamil population is the largest ethnic minority in Sri Lanka, making up around 15 to 20% of the total population. So Tamils are primarily found in the northern and eastern provinces of the country. There are two main subgroups, right? So Sri Lankan Tamils, indigenous to Sri Lanka, they are mostly concentrated in northern and east regions. And Indian Tamils, descendants of Tamil laborer brought to Sri Lanka during British colonial rule to work on plantation primarily in the central highlands. Under Indian Tamils, traders also came to Sri Lanka, right? So they are also living in the central part of the Sri Lanka. So they are also included in the Indian Tamils, right? So there are two categories under minority Tamils. And Muslims, known locally as Sri Lankan Moors, Muslim make up about 10 to 11% of the population, right? So I'm requesting you all to find out. The recent one, now we are in 2025. So you have to find out the percentage of our these Sinhala Tamil Muslim people in recent years, 2024. Uh, so it can be changed, right? So recently they took the census, right, to see the less populated this district is Jaffna, right? So maybe they are comparing the earlier one and now, right? It's the less populated district is Jaffna. So um, the number of these people percentage can be changed, right? And they are spread across the island with significant population in the eastern and western provinces. They speak Sinhala or Tamil, depending on their region, but are united by their religion, Islam. Right, so the Muslim people, they are learning Sinhala, right? Uh, if they are living in the Sinhala area, they are learning Sinhala. If they are living in the Tamil area, they are learning Tamil, right? Even now, in most of the international school population, I think the Islam students are mostly they are in the international school, so they are learning English also, right? And burghers, this group is of mixed European, mostly Portuguese, Dutch, and British, and Sri Lankan ancestry. There are small community comprising less than 1% of population. So the burghers have historically been concentrated in urban areas such as Colombo and have contributed significantly to Sri Lanka's culture, especially in areas like music and literature, right? So the burgher group also there, right? So as minority groups, right, we have to consider the burghers group also because they are 1% of population, right? So 10 to 11 Muslims, uh, 15 to 20 Tamil population, and Vedas, the indigenous people of Sri Lanka, right? So earlier we saw aborigines is the indigenous people of Australia, right? So Red Indians also you must be aware of, right? So their lifestyle and the dresses, everything is different from normal people. So Sri Lankan indigenous people are Vedas. The Veda community make up a very small portion of the population, and their number have been greatly reduced due to historical assimilation and displacement. They primarily live in rural areas, particularly in the central and eastern part of the Sri Lanka, right? Mahiyangana and Ampara side only they are living, right? Even the government is giving priority for them, and so mm, the head of the Vedda is always giving interviews for people, right? So that community is also there. So as the indigenous people of Sri Lanka, we have to consider Vedas. So very little percentage is there. And other minority groups. So there are also smaller communities, including those Malays, Chinese, and other South Asian descent, though their numbers are relatively few. Right, so not in our country, only our country, right? All the other countries also have these small minority groups, right? So these groups contribute to the rich cultural diversity of Sri Lanka. And all the other countries also believing the cultural diversity is very rich, right? They like to have that. So they can have good learning environment, right? And the island's history has been shaped by the interactions, conflicts, and cooperation among these different communities. So the majority Sinhalese, about 75% of the population, and minority Tamils have been central to the ethnic and political landscape, with the Tamils in particular having been at the center of the Sri Lankan civil war, right? So from 1983 to 2009, they had war. due to various reasons. Right. So now we know the language policies. What are the languages using as official languages, minority, right? Those things we learn, right? So here, bilingual education in the United States. So even in Sri Lanka, right, when they are going to start the English medium in grade 6, right? So they started bilingual education because the children are suffering, right? They can't understand at once if they are going to switch on to English medium. So they will find it difficult. So they are using both languages, mother tongue as well as English, and later they will learn, right? Even in the campus, right? Universities. So the students are coming from various environment, right? English environment, non-English environment, right? Both the students are there. Then they have to do something in English. So they are conducting classes, right? So English unit is there. They are responsible to aware the students and train the students to speak and write English, right? So uh, in America, right, United States, teaching academic content in two languages. A student native language, often refer to home language, right? So here the teaching academic content in two languages. One, student's native language, mother tongue and English, right? So we learn that English is dominating, right? There's no official language in the United States. So the primary goal of bilingual education is to ensure that students who are English language learners, ELLL, or who speak other languages at home are able to acquire both proficiency in English and a strong academic foundation in other subjects such as math, science, social studies. So in Sri Lanka also, students, right, they are learning language in their mother tongue, religion uh, in their mother tongue, history in their mother tongue, right? And math science subjects are they are learning in English. So there is a policy, right? And so that policy is implementing in schools, right? So accordingly, they will have the subjects. What are the subjects they are going to do in mother tongue, and what are the subjects they are uh, doing in English medium, right? So the math, science, social studies, they are doing in English medium, right? Even in Sri Lanka. So the United States also think of bilingual education, right? So this is a good thing because the content in two languages, teaching content in two languages, one is native language and the other one is English, right? So they are mixing both. And the key features of bilingual education in the US, two-way immersion. So these things are also we don't know how they are doing the bilingual education, right? We know about our bilingual education, how it is, I think now it's not that popular, right? Earlier, everyone talks about bilingual education. Right now, a lot of international schools directly giving English medium to students. And the government schools are, I think they are going to give the English medium after grade 3 or grade 6, right? I think as teachers, you all will know more than me because you all are in schools. So what is the plight of English medium now? Whether they are switch on to English medium in grade 6 or grade 3?
Grade 6, madam.
Grade 6,
Grade
right.
6.
So how they are selecting the students, whether they are having keeping an exam or just those who are willing to go to English medium can go. Is there any procedure?
He conduct an exam.
Having a
madam.
placement exam, ma'am.
Placement test, right? So in within that results, how many students they are recruiting for English medium? That means is there parallel classes? How many classes are there for English medium and how many? I think it's depend on the number of students and the capacity of the school, right?
Yes, ma'am. It depends on the number of students. Most of
Mm.
schools having only one class.
Yeah, okay. I also can remember earlier when I'm a teacher, right? Most of the private schools have one English class, one Tamil, and one Sinhala, right? So later, the parents are overwhelming. No, they want to be their children in English medium. So the English parallel classes and number of English classes have increased, right? Because now students, especially the parents, willing to have the students in the English medium. So later, I think everything when they are starting there will be a very competitive manner, no, right? Later they interest, and sometimes half of the students are coming back to the mother tongue because they are finding difficult to continue. So that transform things are there, right? uh, so I can remember when that St. Thomas, right, Mount Lavinia. So I applied for my second son, right? Uh, so uh, she got the Sinhala medium, right? Uh, but she applied for English medium, but she got the Sinhala medium. So they told, so you have to wait for another 2 months, right? So the students who are this not comfortable with English medium, definitely they will return to their mother tongue. So your son can get a placement there in English medium, right? Uh, but anyway, luckily he got a position in the Royal College in English medium. So no problem, he went there, right? So in that way, that is also happening, right? If they are not comfortable, if they are feeling hard, or if they feel a mother tongue education is better, they can change, right? I think they will give a certain period, right? So the whole year they are not going to permit, right? With 1 or 2 months, they will allow. That is in Sri Lanka, right? So here the key features of bilingual education in US. Two-way immersion, dual language. So programs are designed to benefit both English-speaking students and non-English speaking students. In these programs, students are taught in both English and the home language with the goal of fostering bilingualism and biliteracy for all students. Right? So two-way immersion. So that is also a very good thing because the US government is thinking of other minority people. For example, a class may have mix of native English speakers and native Spanish speakers, and both groups would learn in both languages, right? So Spanish teacher will be teaching in Spanish, right? And the other class will be conducted in English, right? And the second thing, transitional bilingual education. So this transitional bilingual education only, I think they introduced in Sri Lanka also. Transition, how they are going to change their medium to mother tongue, from mother tongue to English, right? So in transitional bilingual education, also known as early exit program, students initially receive instruction in their home language while they are gradually immersed in English. The goal is to transition students into full English language instruction as quickly as possible, typically within 1 to 3 years. Right? So here in school, they are allowing 1 to 3 years, right? But in the university, you I think first semester only they are allowing for bilingual, and then they are switch on to English medium, right? So sometimes if the lecturer willing to explain, it's okay, right? But especially math, science, medicine, and dental, and all the other special things, right? So those courses are conducting in English, right? So for the transitional period, right, they will have this bilingual thing. And I think first semester, they can have, they will give the this mother tongue exam paper also, right? So later they have to write everything in English. So here the two-way immersion, that means they are teaching in English as well as their mother tongue, right? The multicultural mother tongue. And the second one is transitional bilingual. So these programs are often used with children who speak language such as Spanish, Chinese, or Vietnamese, with the home language used as a bridge to understanding content until the student is proficient in English. Right, so that of course you can see not only in America, even in the Canada, same, because all these communities are living there, right? And the children are their mother tongue is different, but they are learning in English. So this transitional bilingual education is also going on. And maintenance bilingual education. So the maintenance bilingual education, also called late exit programs. The focus is on maintaining the developing fluency in both the home language and English over a longer period. Right, just tell me why, so why this bilingual, this actually the transitional bilingual education is important. If they are directly start in English, what will happen? I think most of our children, right, Sri Lankan, the migrants, so they are taking the children from, so some parents, they are, if they have the mind set to migrate, they will keep the children in the international school. So they learn in English, so no problem. There's no need to worry about that country's education, right? If the child is learning in their mother tongue, right? So you are taking the children to these countries, Commonwealth countries, and they are So in US, of course, they are having Spanish class, another class, Spanish, right? Um, but we don't know whether they are having other languages also, and I think it will be difficult to have different teachers for different languages. So the maintenance bilingual education, maintaining and developing fluency in both home language and English over a long of period. This program typically lasts longer than transitional program and aim to foster full bilingualism and biliteracy. Right, so they are trying, right? They are helping the students, right? So what is the answer for that question? If the bilingualism is there, what will happen to the students? We are learning a lot of subjects like psychology and philosophy, right? And a lot of professional subject, right? So they might, some children will manage, right? In the young age, it's easy to learn a language. So some children will pick up very quickly and some might have difficulties. Even in Sri Lanka, right, the children who are coming to grade 6 to do English medium, we can see, right? So they are struggling, maybe in the grammar, academic writing, right? It's very difficult for a period of time. Later they will pick up. So that is the transitional bilingual period. So this type of program is more likely to be found in communities with a significant number of students who speak the same home language. Spanish in areas with many Latin students. So that's what the language means, usage, right? Even in Sri Lanka, that is the barrier, right? Because Tamil people are living in one area and there's no Sinhala people available. So they can't converse in Sinhala and Sinhala people can't converse in Tamil. But I have few friends, right? So their parents are working, right? Maybe in the service oriented jobs, maybe police or teachers, right? So uh, those children live with their parents in Tamil area, so they can speak very good Tamil. Sinhala people, but they can speak very good Tamil, right? So those sometimes the teachers, right? So the teachers also have to work everywhere, no? So those teachers also, if the teacher is living in this Tamil area, the teacher will learn Tamil very quickly, right? So in the vice versa, the Tamil people who are living in single area can speak uh, singular because it's a need, right? We have to answer, we have to speak to those people. So definitely we will learn. Not only in Sri Lanka, just think of a person, our ladies, right? Most of the mothers, right? Poor mothers are migrating to do some jobs in Middle East, right? So those people, they are using Arabic language, no, and English. But our village people, the poor people, they don't know both languages. But you can see, right, within a short period, they will learn, right? So after 1 or 2 years, they can converse in Arabic and English fluently, right? So language learning means we have to communicate, we have to use it, right? So as if you all are language teachers, give opportunity to speak, right? Make them speak. And English as a second language, right? Earlier link language, international language, link language, English as a second language. There are a lot of different names are there for English in Sri Lanka. Here, English as a second language, ESL programs, although not strictly bilingual education, ESL programs
Excuse me, miss. Can't hear.
Yes. Okay. English as a second language. Although not strictly bilingual education, ESL programs are another form of language support for ELLS. In these programs, students are taught in English, but often with additional language support and specially designed material to help them learn both the languages and the academic content. So here, English as a second language, right? Students are taught in English. But often with additional language support and specially designed material to help them learn both the languages and the academic content. But in Sri Lanka, right, sometimes in your group, there may be English teachers also. But in Sri Lanka, I think English teachers, for a help, they might explain in their mother tongue, but normally they are not explaining mother tongue. So am I correct?
Yes.
Because if the English teacher is going to explain in mother tongue, so the children will expect the same every day. They will expect you to explain in Tamil, so they can learn, no, right? So some schools offer ESL alongside other forms of bilingual education, especially in the early stages of language acquisition. And the other thing, right? So um, small children, right? So especially when they migrate to another country, maybe not English country, some other language country, you can see the small children can this um, uh, grasp that language within very limited time. That means quickly they can learn, they can speak, right? So the language learning is very easy in early ages, not in olden age, right? In our age, it's very difficult to learn, right? So when I'm working at NIE, right, there are these foreign language departments also there. And also the Korean people came and they gave opportunity to learn Korean language, right? So actually it's very hard to us, right? Because they don't know English, right? They know only Korean. And we don't know any Korean, and we know English and Sinhala Tamil languages. So we can't converse anything, right? They will teach and we have to understand. And I think we have to put much um, time and effort to learn that language. But I think now people are in our country because of this employment side, they are learning Japan, Korean language, right? So in our campus, um, this JILT exam, Japan exam, I think more than 10,000 people are doing that exams, because if they pass in that exam, they'll be able to apply for the Japan uh, job visa, right? So they can do some jobs, especially skill. It's like a skill migration. So if there are a purpose, if there is a will, there is a purpose, people will do, right? But it will take some more time, right? Not like small children. It will take some time. So actually, it's a challenge to us, no? So right, the Korean people are coming, and we are working people, and we are learning, right? So we have to pass that, right? We have to score good marks, otherwise uh, it's giving a harm uh, for our status, like, right? So everyone is putting so much effort and learn, right? I think I have done very hard work for that, right? So that's what I am sharing the experiences. So some people can catch these grasp very quickly, and some people, they find it very difficult, right? Anyway, languages are very important, right? If we know more than three, four, so you can see this film stars, right? So especially South Indian film stars, they're acting in so many languages at the same time. They can speak, they can understand, right? So we can't say that it is not possible, right? So but the thing is, they are speaking. That's what they are learning quickly, right? The history of bilingual education in the US has been shaped by debates over language, culture, and national identity. Several important milestones include. So still they are talking about bilingual education in the US. So in the early 20th century, bilingual education began in response to the large number of immigrants coming to the US in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. At that time, bilingual education was more common in some communities, especially in areas with large German, Italian, or Spanish speaking population. Right? So earlier, right, there were less population, so they allowed migrants. But now they strict. They because the number of now the population is high, and now they are limiting, right? And however, the emphasis was generally on Americanization, and over time policies favored English only instruction. So when the other people are coming and filling all the things, right? So normally the native people will feel jealousy, right? So they will lose opportunities. At that time, there will be conflicts, right? And in 1960s, still we are talking about the bilingual education in US. The civil rights movement and the bilingual education advocacy led to the recognition that non-English speaking students were being disadvantaged in school setting, right? So non-English speaking students are there. They're coming from different countries, and their mother tongue is different. Already they have learned in mother tongue, but here all of a sudden they have to fixed into a English medium schools, right? So there are some disadvantages. This resulted in the passing of the Bilingual Education Act of 1968. So they understood the plight of those type of children, and they this passing the Bilingual Education Act of 1968, which provide federal funds to support bilingual education programs. Right, so even in Australia, right, the Chinese students are coming as scholars, right? But they are not good in English, so they are learning English. They are giving bilingual education, the Chinese versus English. So the Bilingual Education Act aimed to improve the educational opportunities for students with limited English proficiency and acknowledge the importance of preserving native languages. So in that case, right, to teach for the other community people, right, migrants, most of our Sri Lankans are teaching English for them. They got the opportunity, right? I know 4 or 5 colleagues, right, of mine are doing that job, and they are teaching English for Chinese students. And in 1980, right, so from historical events, right, how the bilingual education got changed, right? So reforms actually, early 20th and 1960, and it's now 1980. The rise of English only movements. Now they wanted to have English only, right? Because the bilingual act means that they have to teach in other languages also. So sometimes the teacher have to teach in English for the first group, and the subject, same content in the Spanish for the second group, right? So now there is they are rising, right? That means the English only movement, right? In the 1980s and 90s. For example, prepositions 227 in California, 1998, right? So led to debates about whether bilingual education should be a priority. Critics argued that it delayed English acquisition and kept students from integrating into mainstream society. So this is also somewhat true, right? So when we are getting bilingual education, right, we are expecting that. We are always thinking of getting the knowledge through the mother tongue, right? If not, right, we will try to understand English quickly. So critics argued that it delayed English acquisition and kept students from integrating into mainstream society. Supporters of bilingual education countered that it helped students succeed academically and maintain their cultural identity. So one group is arguing, no, if we are continuously doing bilingual education, the people are lazy, and they will take more time to grasp English. So there's another group, right? Against group, they are arguing, no, to maintain the cultural identity and successful in academic side, we need to have the bilingual education. There are two sides, right? And this is 2001, after 1980, 1990, 1998, and now 2001. So this act, No Child Left Behind Act. So Bill Clinton, I think that president's time only this act implemented, further shifted federal educational policy, emphasizing standardized testing and accountability, which affected how bilingual education programs were evaluated. So No Child Left Behind Act means every child is having rights to learn. Right? We can't brand any child that the child can't learn, right? So in recent years, there has been a push for dual language immersions program, as research has shown that bilingualism has cognitive, academic, and social benefits. Right? Cognitive means knowledge, academic, what you all are doing, especially maybe your academic side is your degree, right? And social benefits. These programs are more likely to be offered in areas with diverse population, such as urban centers with large Latin, Asian, or indigenous communities. So this is dual language immersion program. So different type of programs in dual this bilingual education they introduced, right? Growing recognition of the value of bilingualism for global competitiveness has also influenced a resurgence of interest in bilingual education. So they are in the plight, right? Because the multicultural students are there. Some students can speak English and some can't. Some don't know, especially they can speak on only mother tongue. So there are a lot of issues the teacher is facing in teaching. That's what they are giving they are emphasizing regarding bilingual education, and they are preparing more bilingual education programs. So at the time, there is still considerable variation in bilingual education policies across states as educational control is decentralized in the US, with states and local district determining the specific language programs, right? Uh, so today we are learning about the languages, no, right? Issues in language, right? So bilingual education is also related to language education, right? So the basic education is also based on their mother tongue or official languages. That's what we learn about official languages, right? To work in those countries, we must know the official language because we have to work in that language, right? While there is no national mandate for bilingual education in the US, federal and state laws shape how bilingual education is implemented. So continuously they are doing, right? So the Equal Educational Opportunities Act of 1974. So 2001 Act is no child left behind. Here in 1974, equal educational opportunities. The law mandates that schools must take appropriate action to help non-English speaking students overcome language barriers so they can participate meaningfully in instructional programs. And in 1974, Law v. Nicholas, this landmark Supreme Court decision established that school must an equal opportunity to participate public education. This decision was central to the expansion of bilingual education program in the 1970s and 1980s. So there are a lot of issues and problems going on in bilingual education because they have the group, right? Because they allow migrants at that time. So a lot of different migrants came into the country with different languages, right? So now they are in the position to solve that problem, right? So Every Student Succeeds Act in 2015. So in short, abbreviation is ESSA, Every Student Succeed Act, reauthorized the replace of No Child Left Behind Act, continuing to support programs for English learners. Right, so here in 2015, Every Student Succeed Act is helping and supporting programs, supporting programs for English learners. It includes provisions for improving the education of students who are English learners and encourages more research into effective bilingual and English language development program. Right? So, so all of a sudden it came, the bilingual education, all of a sudden it's not came, right? Because of the situation, because of the multicultural society, right? Because they are, so the government is only allowed them to come inside in. So they have to look after those children, right? If they are not good in English, if they know only their mother tongue, so they have the transition have to be done. And challenges of bilingual education in the US. So they are trying so much to do bilingual education, and they wanted to put them into a correct track. That means to do English education, right? But there are a lot of challenges. The first one is funding and resources. Bilingual education programs require additional funding for specialized teachers, curriculum development, and language resources. Schools in low income or rural areas often face difficulties providing these programs at scale. So this is common to every country, no? Right? So funding. And even the funding is not distributing in the same way, right? Some schools will get more and some schools were not, right? Less and some schools were not at all. That discrimination is there, right? Distributing funding. So here we are talking about bilingual education. No? The funding and resources for bilingual education also, um, additional funding, right? Specialized teacher, they have to train the teachers, and they have to develop the curriculum for bilingual education, and language resources have to be there, language laboratories they need. Schools in low income or rural areas often face difficulties providing this program. And the second challenge is teacher shortage. There's a shortage of trained bilingual educators, particularly in languages other than Spanish, such as Arabic, Mandarin, indigenous languages. So that languages also have to taught, no? Right? So the Spanish teachers are there, but no Arabic and Mandarin indigenous language teachers. So that is also one challenge. This can make difficult to offer high quality bilingual education to all students who need. And the third challenge, political and public opinion. So public opinion on bilingual education is often divided. Some view it as a means to preserve cultural diversity and provide better educational outcomes for English language learners. While others believe it delays English proficiency and integration into American society. So in states like California and Arizona, restrictions on bilingual education have led to a decline in such programs. Right, so two sides are there. One side, people, public opinion of one side, uh, they are encouraging, right? Yeah, there are multicultural students, so the bilingual education is needed. The other side paper, the other public opinion is, the children take more time to learn English because they are doing bilingual education. So it's a delay in proficiency and integration into American society, right? So there are two things. So challenges, funding, teacher shortage, and public opinion. And program effectiveness. So bilingual programs are conducting by US, right, continuously. So when we see the effectiveness of program, research on the effectiveness of bilingual education is mixed. While studies suggest that well-designed bilingual programs can lead to higher academic achievement and stronger language skills, and quality of implementation can vary widely. Some bilingual programs may focus more on language development at the expense of content knowledge, leading to concerns about overall academic outcomes. So the benefits of this language study, right? So cognitive benefits. Cognitive means knowledge, right? Research shows that bilingual students tend to perform better in tasks requiring cognitive flexibility, problem solving, and creativity. right? So if a child knows more than 3, 4 languages, right? So that child can read from different languages and gather information, knowledge, right? So definitely she must be better than others. Cultural awareness. Bilingual education promotes cultural understanding and appreciation, which is crucial in a multicultural society like the US. So even in Sri Lanka, right, we have to understand the other groups' culture, right? Cultural understanding and appreciation. So here it's a full of a multicultural setup, US. So the different mother tongue people came from different countries, right? Because the government wants them to come in. So the government have to do something for them, right? And long-term academic success. Students in well-implemented bilingual programs tend to maintain higher academic achievements both in their home language and English over time, right? So as teachers, right, you would have noticed if the child is good in language, the child will be good in all subjects because the child can express their feeling, express their answer, views very clearly. And global competitiveness in an increasingly globalized world, bilingualism is a valuable skill in the workplace, making bilingual education as an asset for students' future career prospects. So in a way, right? So Sri Lanka also have 3 languages. No, that means Sinhala, Tamil, English. English, of course, link language. English is compulsory for everyone. Even the mother tongue is also compulsory, right? So if any Sri Lankan can speak these 3 languages, that means it's an asset, right? So I think for me, it's a privilege because I can work in 3 languages. So maybe the translations, right? The exam paper translation and curriculum development, and I can partake in those actively because I can understand 3 languages. I can converse in 3 languages, and I can give idea in 3 languages, right? So if all the Sri Lankans are willing, and if the teachers can make them to learn 3 languages, it's very good, right? And conclusion of bilingual education, right? Bilingual education in the US plays a crucial role in helping students from non-English speaking background succeeded academically while maintaining their culture and linguistic heritage. However, its implementation is shaped by complex political, social, and economic factors. Right? So normally that things happen, no, right? Political means so the people, different political parties will say different things, right? If one political party says something, the other one is opposite view will be given by the other party, right? Those things are common in every country. So, however, its implementation is shaped by complex political, social, and economical factors. While there is a growing recognition of the benefits of bilingualism, challenges related to funding, teacher shortage, and political debates continue to affect how bilingual education is provided across the country. Right? So, now 2 things we have learned. Right? One first issue, we learned types of minorities, right? And the rights of the minorities, that means their language rights, and develop the language policies, right? And different language policies in selected countries, that means what are the official language, and no official language, right? And in what language they are teaching, and the policies and related education of linguistic minority children selected countries. That means we are talking about bilingualism, right? Uh, so types of minorities, language policy, language rights, right? And uh, so how different countries are having different type of official languages, right? Even included in Sri Lanka, and summary of language policies. That is the part one. And then we learn about Sri Lankan education, right? That means the minority um, and other minority groups, right? And then bilingual in United States, right? So why they need bilingual? Because it's a multicultural country. All the other countries' people were they took them into the country, so they know the mother tongue well, but not the English. So they have to take them into the English stream, mainstream. So that's what they started the bilingual education, and they conducted so many programs, and they are debating about the need and the against points, right? And the features, they had two-way immersion and transitional bilingual education and maintenance, right? And English as a second language, and historical development in bilingual education in US, right? So the challenges, benefits, and the conclusion, right? So two things we have learned. This is the third thing, right? So up to now, bilingual education in US, right? And before that, we learned a lot of countries' language policies, right? So now from US to, we are moving to US to Australia, right? So I think our Sri Lankan people, the dream countries and these migrating countries are US and Australia, UK, right? So here, Australia. What is the language policy and problems in Australia, right? I think the Sinhala people's most favorite country is Australia, right? So even my friends, right? Lot of friends, Sinhala friends are there. They love it and they are happily living, and they have a Sri Lankan community there, right? So they are helping each other, and they are doing a lot of community work, right? So Australia is a linguistically diverse country, home to many languages spoken by various communities. So that country also like US, right? People are migrating because it's a huge country, right? But certain period, certain places only people can live, right? So language problems and policies in Australia are shaped by the nation's history of migration and legacy of British colonization, and the ongoing challenges of managing linguistic diversity in a pluralistic society. Right, so we have to understand what is pluralistic society also, right? Australia's approach to language policy reflects tensions between preserving indigenous languages, accommodating migrant languages, and promoting English as a dominant language. So this is the problem they are facing, right? So language policy reflect tension between they have to preserve indigenous language, aborigines language, and they have to accommodate migrants language. And also their official language is English, and they have to promote English as a dominant language. So key issues in language policy in Australia. So we can't forget these indigenous people, because they are the people who start the country's life, right? So the other people, migrant people, are different from indigenous people, and indigenous group has separated from other groups, right? So indigenous language, endangerment of indigenous languages. Australia is a home to a rich linguistic heritage with over 250 indigenous languages, right? So 250 type of indigenous people lived in Australia, right? That's what they have, 250 indigenous language. Once spoken across the continent. However, many of these languages are now endangered, with only a handful spoken by younger generation. Right? So all the indigenous people, even in all countries, right, they like to be a normal people, and the younger generation is changing. Right? So think of our Sri Lankan country, Vedda community. So even the younger generation of Vedda community is mixing with normal people. Right? So um, the Vedda, so the language also will be endangered uh, in the future, right? Because younger generation is not going to speak that language. And revitalization efforts, there have been growing efforts to revitalize indigenous languages, including community-based programs, academic research, and government support for language preservation. However, challenges remain in terms of resources, generational transmission, and the dominance of English. And the younger generation wants to learn in English, not in the indigenous language. That is also one reason. Because the working language is English, means you will get work. The work opportunity will be there if you know English. That is also another issue. So migrants, post-World War II migrants, since World War II, Australia has experienced significant immigration, particularly from non-English speaking countries in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. So this has led to a multicultural society where multiple languages are spoken, with Italian, Greek, Mandarin, Arabic, Cantonese, and Vietnamese being among the most common. So these country people have come to Australia after Second World War. So the language maintenance versus assimilation, Australia's language policies have fluctuated between encouraging the maintenance of heritage languages and promoting the assimilation of migrants into English-speaking mainstream society. So these countries' official language is English. So they are pulling all the other language use people to use English. That is the need of them and the objective of them. So the challenge is balancing respect for linguistic diversity with the practical need for English proficiency. Right. So if you're going and see, right, so recently I went to Canada, so I had that experience. So our Sri Lankans, right, they are speaking Sinhala or Tamil, right, but the children are not speaking the mother tongue, right? So they are fully merge into the English because they are learning in English. So they love English, and they can converse in English, right? They can write in English well. So they are not bothered about mother tongue, but they are not neglecting, but there's no need, no, right? Because they are learning in English, right? So only they are speaking their mother tongue with the parents and grandparents. And the higher studies also in English. So continuously, you can see the difference, right? The small child, um, before 1 year, before 3 years, right? The child can understand and speak Tamil. When the child is going to the Montessori, right, the child will forget the mother tongue completely and switch on to English. So even though if we are asking a question in mother tongue, the child will answer in English, right? So that is the nature, right? So the future generation, right, definitely uh, they will talk only English, right, not the mother tongue, right? And uh, the language maintenance and assimilation, Australia's language policies have fluctuated between encouraging the maintenance of heritage languages and promoting the assimilation of migrants into English-speaking mainstream society. The challenge is balancing respect for linguistic diversity with the practical need for English proficiency. And the schools are running in English, books are also written in English. So definitely the indigenous language will be uh, uh, not in use, right? So English dominance. English is the de facto official language of Australia, used in government, education, business, and media. The government and many institutions encourage migrants to learn English, both for practical reasons like finding employment and for social integration. Right. So our this Sri Lankan senior communities, they are no, so they are not. They sometimes they don't know to speak English, but to live in UK or US or Australia or Canada, you must know English. So especially in UK, they are giving classes for that type of people. They can learn, right? English. So it's free of charge. Language proficiency and social integration. While English proficiency is essential for success in Australia, issues arise when migrants and refugees struggle with English language acquisition, which can lead to social exclusion, educational disadvantage, and difficulty assessing service. So, so you can understand as teachers, right? If there is a class, half of the children can speak English and half of the children can't speak English. They can't understand English. So so those children will struggle because teacher is going to teach in English, right? So educational disadvantage, social exclusion, right? So the English people speaking students will be one group, the other students will get to another group, right? So there will be issues. And language policies in Australia, national language policy. Australia does not have an official language law, but English is widely recognized as working language. However, Australia has embraced multiculturalism, which includes support for linguistic diversity brought by immigration. So the National Policy on Languages recently, in 1987, was a landmark document that recognized the linguistic diversity of the country and emphasized the importance of supporting both English proficiency and the maintenance of community languages, right? So they have brought a national policy on languages in 1987. And it's emphasized the importance of supporting both English proficiency and the maintenance of community languages. So the policy proposed that the government support languages through education, media, and social service. So if they are not, what will happen? There will be conflicts, right? To avoid that, they are enforcing the national policy on language. So we learn about US bilingual education here, Australian bilingual education. So bilingual education programs are available in some areas, especially to schools with high number of students from non-English speaking backgrounds. So these programs often focus on teaching English as a second language, while also allowing students to maintain their home languages. Right? So normally the migrants, right, and the people who are not good in English only switch on to bilingual education. They only need the linking, right? However, bilingual education is not universally available, and debates about the effectiveness and cost of such programs continue. There are also challenges in ensuring that children from indigenous and migrant backgrounds receive adequate language support. Right? Anyway, they are managing. So regarding indigenous people, in recent years, there has been growing recognition of the importance of preserving and revitalizing indigenous languages, because it's also a heritage, cultural heritage. How many languages they have? Nearly 250 indigenous language spoken in Australia, right? But now don't know whether that 250 languages is there, right? So the Indigenous Languages Act 2021 is part of Australia's commitment to improving outcomes for Indigenous communities, focusing on the preservation of languages as an essential part of her cultural heritage. Right? So even in Sri Lanka, there are things coming under cultural heritage. No, you can't change, you can't do any different buildings, right? You have to keep the old one in the same way for the future youngsters perception. However, there is a gap between policy goals and actual outcomes, and indigenous languages remain at risk due to the dominance of English and the lack of institutional support. Right, so they are talking about indigenous language 250, but there are no school for indigenous language and no books and no teachers to teach, right? So even the indigenous people, children, they are learning in English. So they are going to be English speakers, not the indigenous language speakers. So those are the problems they have. So in some instances, language proficiency in English has been tied to citizenship requirements. Right? Even now, I think, right, one of my niece, right, got this citizenship in Belgium. Before issuing the document of this citizenship, they check the language ability, right? So I think they have Dutch and French, those the languages. So they are not asking for written or exam results or anything, but they will converse with you. And if you are confident, they will accept, right? So So for the citizenship requirement in 2007, the English language requirement for Australian citizenship was tightened. Right, so they need these IELTS results. Requiring migrants to pass English language test, critics argue that this can include migrants who may have lived in Australia for many years but are not proficient in English due to age, disability, or lack of opportunity for language learning. The same thing happened in Brazil also, no, right? So Brazil people, they don't know, they are not literate, illiteracy. They don't even, they don't write the name, right? So one of the philosopher, right, made them, right, 6 million people to read and write, right? Uh, Challenges in Australia's language policy, language and social inclusion, barriers to access. Uh, so we learned the challenges faced by US in bilingual policy, language policy. Here, Australia is facing these challenges, language and social inclusion, barriers to access. Non-English speakers, particularly migrants and refugees, can face challenges in accessing public services, healthcare, and education, especially if they lack proficiency in English. Right? So that is, of course, true, right? If we are good in English, if we can speak English, it's very easy to live in those countries, right? If we don't know, right? But the thing is, we can live, right? So no need, the non-verbal communication is there, and we can buy things without even talking, right? So in the food city, if we are collecting all the things, and even in those countries, everything done by people, no, right? So there's no cashier or anything. So the people have to feed everything and pay the money themselves, right? So actually the English knowledge is essential. Uh, so discrimination, people who speak languages other than English may experience discrimination or stigmatization, particularly in contexts where English proficiency is viewed as a measure of assimilation or national identity. Right? So the job opportunities might, the people can have issues on that, right? The loss of indigenous language remains a significant issue. The effects of colonization forced assimilation policies, such as stolen generations, and the dominance of English in education, media, and public life have led to the decline of indigenous languages. So the gap between the recognition of the importance of language preservation and the resources available for it remains a critical challenge, right? So we are talking about indigenous people, and we are thinking to it's a rich heritage, like, right? But it is not in use, right? So that's what the next generation is not going to use those languages. So preserving those languages, right, just in the books, right, documents. And resource allocation, another challenge, funding and support, like even in USA, the same. Providing adequate resources for bilingual education, language revitalization programs, and translation services for migrants requires significant investment in a climate of budget cuts and completing priorities. The effectiveness of Australia's language policies depends on sustained government support. So they have to spend huge amount of money in translation and giving program in bilingual education, bilingual for students. So the government is feeling hard to accommodate these things. So under conclusion, Australia's language policies in a pluralistic society reflects its complex social and historical context. Right? So the countries we have learned all coming under pluralistic society. Plural means singular plural, right? So many mm, different type of people are there. Maybe different in ethnic, different in language, different in religion, but the government has to have to accommodate. Uh, The challenge lies in managing linguistic diversity while ensuring that all Australians have access to opportunities, services, and rights, regardless of their language background. So, while progress has been made, particularly in terms of recognizing the value of multiculturalism and the importance of indigenous language preservation, ongoing work is required to address the gaps in language education, resource allocation, and social integration. Right, so just think, right, younger generation, of course, there's no problem. They are learning in English, so they can manage well, right? So the old people also migrated, no, because the children went and again they took the parents and all, no. So the parents finding difficult to speak in English. But most of the parents I met, they are very good in English because they are living for a long time and they have to converse in English, so they are good in English. But some people, right, still they are those who can't speak English, right? So maybe from other countries, their mother tongue is different. So those people will find difficult to go to market or even go to buy some medicines, right? And to meet a doctor, right? Because doctor can't speak native language, no, right? So those things are there. Right, so the Russia we will learn in the next class because it's too much. So we have learned US, Australia, right? And also already issues in the languages, language policy, what are the official languages, and bilingualism, right? What is the plight of bilingualism in US? What are the programs are going on and why it is important? And you learn there are two arguments going on. So one argument say the bilingual education is needed. The other one is say it is not needed, right? So the same with Australia. US also, the official language is in English, right? They don't have an official language, but the main language is English. Australia also the same. So in Australia, there are 250 indigenous languages, right? That means 250 type of indigenous people were lived. But now you can't say that all languages are living, right? Dead languages, most of the languages, because they are not in use. And so even in, we visited upper Canada village, that means indigenous people village, right? Less population. We can't see people even, right? Uh, so we are learning by countries, right? At the same time, we are comparing each other, right? How it is in US, how it is in Australia, right? So next week we can continue with Russia, right? So how the language policy in Russia and what are the challenges, and we learn all the challenges they are facing. Okay, so is there any issues or is there any questions?
Madam, can you share the page?
Yeah, yes,
PPT,
I'm
madam?
going to. I'm going to share. Okay.
Thank you, madam.
I gave some a small homework, right? If you are interested, right, read some more, right? And we are learning about limited number of countries, right? So as you all know, uh, so our familiar countries, right? Though the people from Sri Lanka wants to migrate to the countries. So if we know about those countries, what are the official languages and how um, and what is the this indigenous languages there and how the school system, right? It will be uh, actually good, right? Any other questions? So I'm uploading current problems in Sri Lanka because for next class, Russia and current problems and Sri Lanka will be discussed, right? And I will upload this one also. So did you get the timetable for next month?
Not yet, madam.
Okay.
Right. So I have uploaded both, right? You can check.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Last time you share CE3 new PowerPoint, but it can't open it.
Just now see, now only it's, I think, completed loading.
Yes, ma'am. Now we can open it.
Right. So I have uploaded 3. The first one also you all requested, no? The first PowerPoint also corrupted, it seems. So I have uploaded that also. Now all 3 are there, right? The current problem, of course, I didn't do, right? Just for your reference, just read and come. So the next week we can do the Russia, the language policies and issues in Russia and current problems, right? And if time permits, we can do the Sri Lankan reforms in Sri Lanka, also education, right? Right, okay. Then good night.
Good night,
Have a
ma'am.
good
Thank you
day.
very much. You too, ma'am.